restoring of our Mother Earth into her glorious natural beauty. And I want to say a little bit about Finisia Medrano and her friends, her young relatives here. Phil and I met Finisia about 2.5 years ago. They came over and they were camped out at the smoke shop over here. She had her covered wagon at the time, and she had what, 3 horses? Yes. 3 horses, and then she had some other the young relatives were helping her with replant native plants and all these things, spreading seeds and educating people about wildflowers and the awareness that there's so much food source and in that native plants, and that we should really look and be aware of those things. And Finisia will address that in her wonderful, dynamic, and poetic way she does. And so happy that she came back again after all this time this way. And she had called me up, as I was telling Danny and some of the relatives that she was coming, and I was going to wait for her to call, and so they did. They got here a few days ago and are camping out right now, and so I asked her if she would do this presentation. She so graciously agreed to do that. So Finisia is here just for a short time, and but we are going to. She's going to talk about what her purpose, the project, and all these things to us. I want to read a little something about her thoughts about things. There's this book that was written about her here, and this is what is her collected writings here, growing up in occupied America, Finisia Medrano. But anyway, here's a little something, an excerpt from her book. In this toxic desert wasteland that had once been the Garden of Eden, is where this story now unfolds. Where are the children of the sun? They are no more. I am Finisia. My name translated is the end. Everywhere we go, the mother becomes milk and honey and bread for the hunter-gatherer people. In the return, we always feed her first of what she is feeding us. Always behind us, she multiplies what we fed her, and she in this way is feeding the 7 generations. Perhaps deep in the ground, where it could not be seen, a root may still live, waiting to spring forth again. This is kind of distill some of her thoughts about, you know, what she does in her life and this project and this life purpose. So, without further ado, here's a. Thank you so much, Finisia.
Yeah.
Wherever you want to stand, if the chairs are in your way right now,
you're good.
And however you want to do it, sit, stand, or whatever.
Yeah, it's perfectly good.
And I just wanted to introduce Seda and Courtney here, that are here with working on with her and her project, and you know, you folks like that, and they'll be helping her along the way. So okay, there you go.
Well, as I traveled around for many years, I interacted, you know, in this old planting back way. And I found that, you know, there would be lots of opposition, but then the opposition, you know, had a way of fading away. It was hard for them to come against a beautiful, life-giving planting thing that they didn't expose themselves as some kind of criminally insane, you know. So they didn't like the light of day shining on them and being opposition to these planting back things. So for the last 6 years, I want to give you some confidence in being able to go out and do these things, because I want to talk to you about how to enable and strengthen your hands in public land decisions. Because these things, they take ownership. People talk all the time about owning something, like, you know, owning your own stuff. And you might do that emotionally, you might even do that mentally, and you might think because you owned it in that way, you're there. But I think that notion came to us from the idea that we can get a baptism and somehow be changed and we not have to engage in a process. And I found that in this process of planting back all these native things and giving them life, I found a way to rewild myself in those old ways, and it gave me life. And then walking this way, I found that those that would try to oppose me in these things became powerless, because how can you oppose a beautiful, life-giving thing that had nothing but love in it anyhow? And if they would try to oppose such a thing, you know, they would have no power, they would just look badly. And so I've been going around, I tell everybody, you know, I'm going to go plant these things, you know. Oh, you can't do that. And I say, oh yeah, I can. And then I go do it. We do just fine. Before I go further, I want to tell you a story, that happened today. It was a blessed thing. I have a stone much like this for these grinders. And it's a littler one, made out of granite. And it was in my bag. And, I can't find it. And I was over there, in my camp thinking, why is it I can't find it? But I know the spirit of every occasion is equal to its occasion. And there's a man here in Schurz, and so many people can't carry a broken heart. So they just threw it away, and it seemed it landed on Chili Dog, because every time we come here, he stays with us day and night and gives us love and welcome where other people no longer can. And when I found I could not find my stone, without knowing it, without understanding it, out of his own impulse, he come walking into camp and he gave this to me today. Just as I discovered I did not have my stone, here comes Wayne Powell. And he carries a stone for me. Sometimes he takes these sacred things away. And sometimes, he brings them right back in such a good way. And I want to thank that. But what I discovered is this. Out there on the lands, Johnny Bob Ray would tell me to plant another canyon, plant another canyon. I kept planting his sacred grounds. He found out after a few years of me planting back there, I had somehow taken ownership of the Indian ranch that way. He could feel it. But I wanted him to feel it. Because I want to strengthen your hands. All over Nevada, the government's trying to take away your ownership of this land. And they say, well, these riparian here are protected. You see, we have a fence. But I've been out there many years. I see that fence go down, that gate go down, the cows go in, that riparian get beat to death every year. Everybody in the BLM, everybody in the Forest Service winking there. No, oh, somebody let the gate go down. Only one guy profited. These things are going on until, our berries are almost gone, our natural plums are almost gone. A lot of the lilies that we loved along the creek are gone. Yamba are not doing so well. If you're not out there and you're not a part of those things, then you don't have ownership the way you thought. Maybe intellectually you took ownership of a culture. Maybe intellectually or spiritually you thought you got a hold of a tradition. But I learned something by hitchhiking as a child around America. They told me forever, no ass, no gas, no grass, no cash, no ride. And I think the Spirit Father would say the very much same thing to all of us. If we don't actually pick this thing up and walk in it and give life to it, we don't have the ownership we believe. But I do know this, they cannot come against you, nor would they ever. They don't maybe want to come to a place where they have to beg you to do these things. But I would beg you, because I'm not proud. I swallowed pride forever. I found out it was not poison. What I know is this. If you plant back those riparian, and you make noise about it, and you let those children discover what beautiful life-giving things they are by giving those things life, they have a better reason to live because they have a positive self-image in it. I know that if you plant back these riparian, and you let them BLM and Forest Service know they're there, now they have a vested interest in protecting that riparian from the cattleman, because until you come out here, he's the only one that has a presence. But if we come back and we plant these things with the berries and plums, don't you think that we would have that ownership? And don't you think they would honor that and let it be? You bet they would, because if they tried to violate those things and somebody said, some child come running in, oh, they let the cows eat up all our things we grew for them. We were growing berries and the cows have eaten them. Oh, that crying child's voice would be so piercing they would never want to hear it. So I suppose, if you took ownership for real, you would have it and strengthen your hand politically in public land decisions. Strengthen yourselves in your own tradition, giving your children something beautiful that they know they're worthwhile, and have a positive self-image to go forward in. I'm praying now, that maybe we can do something good with these people. I learned something not to be offended or anything, and I know that their intention might be, to give you something more of their agricultural way, but I am a subversive. I say we get that greenhouse if we can get it, by all means. Because, I've got friends and myself with no money and with no recognition and with no pay. We move around thousands of dollars and thousands of pounds of these things at our own expense. And we would love to work with these people here. because I can fill your greenhouse year after year with shoots that could be rooted of the native currants of all colors, the native plums of all colors, so that they're in buckets and they're growing, and we can walk up into those places and take ownership again.